All right, A to Z Sports Titan post-game live and a victory post-game live, 32-27. Easton frees. The Titans end up pulling it out here. Was a rocky second half, I think, to say the least. We dealt with a little bit of conservative play calling at one point. Will Levis throws a pick six, makes his big mistake of the game. Titans defense maybe not looking like they were going to answer it at certain points, but they do. Chigakonkwo responds with a 70-yard touchdown run. A great play after the catch to make that happen for the Titans. And then they just do enough down the stretch, and the defensive line brings it home down the stretch with a sack, which dropped the Texans back to the 1 yard line. They end up getting another sack, which results in a safety. Austin Stanley calls it. The Titans win in epic fashion here, 32-27. Easton and I are going to go over everything that happened in this game. We're going to talk Will Levis. We're going to grade the quarterback. We're going to get instant reactions from all of you. Before we do it, going to tell everybody about our partners here, X Golf Nashville, now in Murfreesboro as well, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, and entertain. Go to playxgolf.com. BetMGM, log in today to get your Pro Football Boost Pack to acquire tokens for more winnings. BetMGM is an official partner of your Tennessee Titans. T-Dot, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. And Easton, tell the folks what to do before we get into our post-game coverage.
Guys, if there was ever a time to like the show, this is the time. Today. Make today the show that you like in honor of the Titans getting to 30-plus points.
Talk to them.
For the first time in 55 days. Don't ask me how long it was before that, but 55 days ago, they scored 30 points. And they did it again today, and they won a divisional game in truly entertaining fashion, top to bottom. There were highs. There were lows. There's a lot of stock up guys. There's a couple real stock down guys. We're going to talk about all of them today, but not until you like the show. Come on, baby.
The storylines coming out of this game, Easton, are all over the place here. So we'll have a lot to talk about, I'm sure. Everywhere from Will Levis to the special teams and Colt Anderson to what a play by Chigakonkwo to what the heck was the play calling at some points in the second half.
Coming up big when they needed it.
Defense comes up big to penalty luck, swinging back the Titans' way because the Texans won this game for a moment with a Nico Collins touchdown and then, illegal shift. And every Titans fan knew that feeling from last week against the Vikings. And now it's the Texans fans that are feeling it and Titans fans that are going, woo, all right. Hey, survived. All right.
Guess we're just the cleaner team. What can I say?
Hey, you can't do that, man.
This
I don't know what to tell
buttoned up football team here in Tennessee. Let me tell you.
So, a lot of people fired up, hyped up as they should be. This was a very good win. I'm sure Brian Callahan's going to be juiced up in the post-game press conference, and that locker room is going to be ready to go because Titans got it going. They got it going on. So, Easton, what was your biggest takeaway? I know that's probably broad strokes, big picture here, but what is your biggest takeaway from this game, 32-27, where it feels like there's 5 or 6 storylines that could be the main storyline coming out of this?
Man, it is hard to pick one because there are like 7. And there's chaos going around the league as I'm watching on my screen right now. I'm trying not to get distracted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see what do we have going. Oh, Dallas and Washington.
Washington just scored an 86-yard touchdown to Terry McLaurin and then missed the extra point.
Wow. Chicago scored a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion, got an onside kick, then threw the ball down the field, got into field goal range, and tied the game there in overtime against the Vikings.
Well, and to bring it back to this Titans game, man, Ka'imi Fairbairn setting the NFL record for most consecutive 50-plus yard field goals, 12 for 12 in a season, and then missing the chip shot that would have tied the game. You saw the camera pan to Brian Callahan.
Right. I will say,
giving him one of these.
As excited as I was for the Titans to win this game, there was part of me that was like, I really wanted to see what Will Levis was going to do with 150 on the clock and 3 timeouts.
Oh, I know. We asked for it, right? We asked
for the chance to go win the game, which, I would have been pumped to see how he answered, but we'll take the win because Will Levis needed a confidence boost too. I feel like of just delivering a win and for it to come against the division leading Texans on the road is great. And I will say this, I tweeted it during the game. Did I start sweating at some points because it looked like it was a jinx when Will Levis immediately threw a pick six? Yes, but I tweeted that Will Levis was outplaying CJ Stroud. And he did outplay CJ Stroud in this game. I think he answered very, very well after the interception. He, came back and didn't have a ton of opportunity, to be honest. It was a weird game. After the interception, the Titans muff a punt, which then takes the ball out of Will Levis's hands again. He comes back next possession is a one-play 70-yard touchdown to Chigakonkwo. They get the ball in a 3rd and 6 situation, and they end up not being able to convert and ice the game. But overall, Will Levis gets it done. I think Jarvis Brownlee, as Shane is pointing out, had a heck of a game today, making some very clutch plays. Chig with a very clutch day. Lots to say, and I'm curious to see where the chat is going to go with this. But let's get it going here in this post-game show by asking all of you for one word. What's one word to describe the Titans win over the Texans? One word to describe the Titans win over the Texans. While you guys are letting us hear it, I'm going to let you hear it about our friends over at T-Dot. Our friends over at T-Dot, because nobody trashes Tennessee. Make sure I can get this up. Yeah. Be part of the solution to end littering. Did you know that there's over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee's roadways right now? It's a big problem. We can all be part of the solution. Titans have big problems looking for solutions. And if only it was as simple as spending over $23 million a year cleaning up litter. But they can't do it alone. You can help by making simple changes. Stop littering, pick up litter when you see it. Local cleanups, every action counts, and Tennessee needs everybody to step up. Visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com to get involved and see how you can make a difference. Easton, I'm seeing all of the similarities between T-Dot and the Titans as I go through that read. Tried to spend $23 million a year to make it happen. Sometimes there's other problems that we need everybody to step up and help out. And it doesn't matter how much money you spend if you've got trash at right tackle sometimes. But you know what? Titans win today. Easton, what one word is being fired off by most people in the chat?
1,000,001 words here. We're going to go rapid fire. Special, grit, get her done, incredible, fun, woo, complete, signature, clicked, perseverance, exhale, job saving, perhaps, happy, refreshing, growth, progress, a little nod to our pregame question there. Certainly some progress today. Unexpected, bittersweet, a word that I can't say, but somebody clearly upset that the draft order has been changed for the Titans. Resilient, refreshing, gutsy, win, delirium, outstanding. Remember last week we asked, break out your thesaurus. Give us the high caliber words. We will feature the most intelligent words. So give us some fresh ones here, but I'm going to keep looking through them as Sam, you give us your one word from today.
Mine is just going to be answer, which is not a high caliber word, but I think is a word that encapsulates a lot from this Titans team.
So what is the answer in your opinion?
Well, answer as in answering back, finding an answer. It has been a criticism of mine of this team all year. It has been a concern of mine regarding Brian Callahan all year, because as the head coach, I think you're responsible for the morale of your team, for how you respond on the sideline, for how the locker room holds itself together. And while the locker room of the Titans has remained strong throughout the entirety of the season, they have very much struggled to answer on the field. Negative plays feel like they snowball into disaster after disaster after disaster. And after what was an excellent, nearly perfect, we talked about first half from Will Levis, the second half comes around. You get a little conservative in your play calling. And I hated the way that the Titans seemed like they were trying to just bleed this game out when you don't have a unit to do that. And all of your offensive success has come from play actions and taking shots down the field. So more of that, please. They try to bleed it out. It's not working. It makes the game tight. Will Levis makes a mistake. Bad play, throws the pick six. Feels like, oh no, what are we going to do about this? And it's about to blow up in your face. And the Titans answered. Will Levis answered. Chigakonkwo answered. The defensive front answered. The secondary answered with a couple of big PBUs. They answered even after a special teams gaffe later on. So this was a big answer back from a lot of people on the Titans coaching staff, roster. And that is why you got this win today, because you did not let one mistake turn into a loss. You found a way to pick yourself up off the mat and get it done.
Yeah, and as to your point about them trying to seemingly salt the way a game there in the middle of the second half, you and I were texting about it behind the scenes. I tweeted at the beginning of that drive where the Titans were up. They had a chance to go down the field and make it a 2-score game. They were comfortable. And I essentially tweeted, they're going to try to, impose their will a little bit, lean on the Texans here. I said, this is where good teams establish the run, play an efficient, grinding, long drive, 12 play, 75 yards, 8 minutes off the clock, and just kill you. Let's see if they can do it. And I said, the offensive line's going to win. They tried, and you want to talk about an answer. The answer was can't do that. Not good enough of a team to do that. So there was your answer. And to their credit, they did eventually get away from it a little bit later than I would have liked for them to.
It's amazing, Easton, because I tweeted live. I've been saying all second half, like, Callie, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we conservative? Will Levis pick six. It just felt so bad. And I had said, I know Will Levis just threw a pick six, Brian.
Right.
Please, for the love of God, go back to what was working. Let him roll out of the pocket. Let him use play action. Let him make a play. Trust him a little bit. And to Brian Callahan's credit, he did. And one play later, you had a 70-yard touchdown. I was very happy with the way that, like you said, they didn't answer. They didn't bleed the game out, but then they said, all right, we're not going to beat a dead horse. We're losing this football game right now, and we're going to let our quarterback and our playmakers make those plays.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I ultimately on that, fine with them trying it. Shame on them for doing it as long as they did.
Yeah.
And then credit for eventually adjusting.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that. Let's see here. So before I give my word, I asked for the highbrow vocab words in the chat, and I've been saving them. We've got some good ones. You guys came through. I appreciate this. So let me just fly through some of the good ones here. Invigorating from Dion, like that. Exquisite from Chris. Gratifying from Rotary Perfection. Meritorious from PBFT.J, which might be my favorite one in there. That's a great one. Meritorious. Euphoric from Don. Scintillating from Steve. This team showed some gumption, according to Gary, and a galvanizing win for the Titans from AFK TV. So like those words, well done, fellas. My word is... I had it. I lost it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I found it. It's okay. I had it in I've just read all these words, and then my word got lost in the mix. My word is vindicating. And I'm not going to take a massive victory lap of any kind here because it's one divisional win. Division games are weird, whatever. But I know you feel some of this too, Sam.
For different reasons than you.
For different reasons, yeah.
I think you can hold a little bit over me. I can hold a little bit over you with some of this vindication for different reasons.
That's
right.
I
think neither one of us, like you said, neither one of us is all the way vindicated, but it feels a little bit good.
Right. You got to be careful with how big a lap you take here, because 1 week from today, you could look really stupid.
I learned that the hard way. I was like, we're back. Will Levis is back. Immediate pick six. I was like, all right, well, I don't regret
that was like
anything.
Me texting you at halftime of the Bears game week 1 about how your Bears suck, and then I look stupid. That was you with Levis today.
I don't regret anything. I think big picture, I still feel correct and I still feel vindicated. But it was a little bit of like all right, maybe I should just like chill for a second.
Timing is everything.
Let the game cook for a bit more.
So my vindication isn't, again, for folks that don't know, you and I we are on the pro Levis side of the aisle here at A to Z Sports, and so that's a win for you and I today. But for me specifically, I say vindication because for the past month or so, I have been taking a beating and at times accused by fans, some other folks in the media even, for pumping sunshine, for looking for good things to say about this crappy 2-8 team, for being a homer, for being a Titans lover, for just a lot of pumping sunshine accusations thrown my way that I've had to fend off. And the reason why this game is vindicating to me is because what I said to all of those people at the time was, I can't convince you what I truly believe versus what I'm just saying for the sake of my own business. But the reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because I deep down in my heart believe that the bones of this team are good, as I wrote about a couple weeks ago and we talked about on the show, and that there are tangible things to point to that would indicate patience is key with this offense, that they're trending in the right direction. And I think today you saw the biggest dose yet of what the vision for this Titans team, what this Brian Callahan offense is supposed to look like. There was that one drive in the first half. It was the 12-play, 86-yard drive or whatever it was. It was their first touchdown, I believe. Yeah, first touchdown drive of the game. They went up 10-3. That drive was an encapsulation of exactly what this team is supposed to look like. And that drive was all that. And you saw bits and pieces of it throughout the game, and it was gritty and it wasn't perfect. And that second half was very much like division football, just slop from both teams and teams making dumb mistakes and coming back. But the reason I'm vindicated is because I think folks that were giving me a hard time for pumping sunshine and being a homer for this team just didn't realize that I was just early. I think I was just right.
Not wrong.
Not wrong, just early. Like, genuinely, that's how I feel today. That's the vindicated feeling. And again, this team, it's just one game. They've got a lot of games left. They may prove me wrong eventually, but today is what I'm pointing to and saying, this performance is why I've been saying what I'm saying. It's not because I'm trying to be BFFs with the players and coaches when we talk to them at the facility. It's not because I'm trying to garner clicks from a fan base that's beaten down. It's because I'm just telling you what I think. Sorry. And I think today you saw it.
I mean, I think, Brian Callahan and the coaching staff seem to have found their stride on offense specifically. The right tackle thing is still a problem. The sacks and Will Levis's pocket presence is still a problem. Those things aren't going away.
It's so far from perfect.
And you're still able to put up 32 points, 30 plus points, and piece together some solid offensive drives knowing that. And I think, you found out how to use Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, once again today, what's his
5 receptions, 93 yards.
Another 93 yards. You create a 38-yard touchdown to NWI, 70-yard touchdown to Chig. Will Levis, 18 of 24, 278, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Just solid. What is the final QBR? 123.3 out of Levis, which is, right up there with where he was against the Chargers, managing the game, making the explosive plays, a couple of wow throws, a couple of throws, including the pick six, just a bad decision. But the offense worked, and you used Tony Pollard, I thought, in the first half, exactly how Tony Pollard should be used. Yep. They seem to have found their stride. Now, this version of the Titans looks more like what Easton Freeze tried to sell me on a month and a half ago when you said that, you replace the right tackle, you get another cycle of player acquisition, you get some guys healthy, and then you can compete with people. And I think you are a little bit vindicated by the fact that this current version of the Titans is starting to look closer and closer to that, competing against some very good teams and now beating one in the Texans.
I think the best way to sum up this game in my vindication is that in this game, you saw everything good and everything bad about this team, right? And for the first time, you saw, man, this offense can really work. This scheme is good. It works in the modern NFL. Will Levis, good enough to execute it. These weapons, good enough to make it happen when everything's clicking and they're in sync and people are rolling. This special teams, cursed, and it's going to hurt you every single game. And that's, that's the bad that you saw. This defense for a lot of the game, and I know they're missing guys, so injuries is a big part of this, but there's some real deficiencies, and pass rush, some real deficiencies. Now, credit to them, man. They came up big at the end of the game. You want to talk about crescendoing to the end of a game? That defense and that pass rush got better as the game went on, and they came up clutch when the Titans needed them to put the game on ice. But yeah, you saw all the good and the bad. And so my point this whole time, the past 6 weeks, has been the good is in there, whether you choose to see it or not. And that's something that you can genuinely hang your hat on as a franchise to trend in the right direction. You just have to weed out the bad. And sometimes that takes time. Sometimes it takes another player acquisition cycle, but you got to trust the coaches and the player personnel people to get their job done. And it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. And I think, again, I will say with the utmost certainty, this is for both Will Levis, the offense, and the team as a whole, at least the third game in a row where they have gotten objectively better than the previous game. And I think it goes back even further than that. I think it goes back to the Lions and the Bills games. But I think this team is trending in the right direction. And as you and I had talked about mid-season, all the talk about the top draft pick, we were saying, I think this team's probably going to win some games down the stretch and ruin people's draft dreams, but it's going to be good for the franchise long term. And I think that's exactly where we're heading.
Well, Easton, I think you could also make the argument, we'll get to Will Levis here in a moment, but remove Miami, the game that he does not finish and goes down early with an injury, remove the Colts game where he plays injured. right? And look at those first 3 games and then the last 3 games that he's now played. There is a legitimate argument that he is improved every week over six weeks thus far, because Bears was a really ugly second half and probably just an ugly effort all around. There was some
worst EPA quarterback performance of any quarterback in like the last 3 years.
Yeah, it was a horrible game.
Horrible game. Yes.
127, 2 interceptions. He goes to 192. 1 touchdown, 1 pick against the Jets. I think he had his best game earlier in the year when it was against Green Bay. He threw 2 touchdowns, threw 260 yards, hit a couple explosives to Calvin Ridley, 2 interceptions in that game. One of them was like a garbage time. One of them was Treylon Burks not coming down with that jump ball. Then it's Miami and Indy, which we're removing for injury's sake. The Chargers didn't turn the ball over, managed the game okay, needed to work on pocket presence. Titans offense got bled out. Then there's a little bit of a jump with the explosives against the Vikings, but still they couldn't finish with points. Now, today we saw the culmination of all of that, and those explosive pass plays turned into points, and Levis did it a little bit more consistently. So there is an argument to be made that 6 weeks in, or 6 games of Will Levis starting this season, it's just been steady sort of improvement. And that's a credit to him, but a big credit to Brian Callahan, a big credit to this coaching staff for stick with it, stay patient. And it brings us to our next question, because we're going to look a little bit closer at Will Levis and ask the chat, how do you grade Will Levis's performance today in the Titans win over the Texans? How do you grade the performance from Will Levis after that Titans win over the Texans? And while everybody fires off what I think,
can we hang on before you give the ad read, Sam? Can you have his stats pulled up? We can give people a fresh numbers to put on this performance here before we just start firing off some irresponsible grades. Let's put some numbers on it.
Outline for Will Levis: 18 of 24, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, which was a pick 6. That is the stat line for Will Levis today. Now let's get
75% completion percentage for those that are doing the math at home.
Okay, there you go. 75% completion percentage.
The Brian Callahan wet dream, to be frank with you. 75% completion percentage. Delicious.
Exactly what he goes for. Actually,
it's his favorite thing in the world.
Go to the chat. Let me know what those grades are right now in the chat.
You go ahead and go to the chat. All right.
Yeah, go to the chat.
We've got them loading in here as I'm scrolling. I mean, y'all are filling up our chat box here. Okay. We've got a B+, an A-, an A-, 86%, which is a B, B+, B+, A, B+, B+. Do I see an A+ from Antoine? Any C's in here? Not seeing a single C. I'd say 1 C from Joshua, a tough grader, as is Jay. I'm going to just eyeball it and say the class average here. I mean, we're certainly looking at an A-, B+. I'd probably say it's an A- average for him, like a 91, a 90 out of 100.
All right. And are you in agreement with that grade, Easton?
What did I give him last week? I think I gave him a B. I think I gave him a flat B. And then you talked me into making it a B+, is what happened.
Well, I have that effect on people.
All right, buddy. So if last week was a B+ for me, I don't see how I can't make this an A-. So I'm going to go A-. I think if he had played the entire game like he did in the first half, which really for any quarterback is a very tall order because he's cooking. If he'd played like that for 2 halves, I'd be tempted to fire off something irresponsible. But the second half, little heat check. What I was most proud of him in the second half is, and the coaching staff as well for the way they called it, but for him to execute the way that he did after that pick 6, absolutely that's vintage Levis we don't want to see. But that's the first time we've seen him make a truly terrible decision or / terrible throw. In how long? It's been multiple weeks since we've seen a truly awful decision like that from him, which happens. Even the best quarterbacks.
Yeah, I will say, there is a distinct difference between this Will Levis bad decision that leads to a catastrophic play and inexcusable, really bad decisions where he's putting the ball in harm's way for no reason.
Trying to do too much. Right.
There's a difference between not seeing something wrong and making a mistake in a split second because you see something wrong. Like you said, that's something that happens to every quarterback.
Right. And in this instance, he didn't see the robber. He just didn't see a guy. It happens to every quarterback.
And then But that's not what we saw in Chicago or against the Jets, where he's flicking the ball for a fumble and just like trying to be the hero at times. So it's definitely a little bit of a difference with a bad play. I'm with you at an A-. I think if B to like B+ is like if C is he was if B is okay, he did enough to win. This was a little bit better than did enough to win for me.
Right.
This was,
to me, C is like you're kind of hurting your team. B is like you were there. A is like without you, they may not have won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think without Levis's performance today, they probably don't win that game.
No, I don't think Mason Rudolph wins this game for the Titans. I think
agree.
they definitely lose this game. So I think he leans a little bit more towards the A. I think it was very sharp. I think the way that he responded from the pick six was huge. And there's a lot to like out of what Will Levis showed today. We still have 6 more games, which is going to be really interesting to see how this goes and continues. And I'm sure it'll ebb and flow a little bit. But, 3 games in now to the return of healthy Will Levis, I think, a lot of reasons to be encouraged about what he could potentially bring to this team as the quarterback in 2025. With the way that Brian Callahan seems to be developing a little bit of momentum here, I would say you and I both A- and in agreement with the class average coming from the chat. And as Shrike says, a 9-8 season still alive, according to Jeffrey Simmons, who still sees a path for the Titans to win the division. Hey, why not? Why not? Well, I'm going to keep saying why not until they
Jeff
lose
Simmons
that
never
game.
Wrong just early. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Washington lost that game to Dallas. So
the Cooper Rush Cowboys in Washington.
They gave up 34 points to the Cooper Rush Cowboys at home.
They scored that many points?
Yeah, I don't know why. Apparently a late touchdown happened at some point. Not sure what happened there too. There was the onside kick was returned for a touchdown by Dallas. So 34-16 was the final there. That's the date that the Titans have next week at the Commanders. And I did, walk through a scenario where, it is possible that the Texans do finish this season 9-8. They're not looking special by any means, and they've got a very difficult schedule the rest of the way. They've got the Ravens,
Titans 9-8. Titans they've got 2-0 series sweep.
The Texans schedule the rest of the way. Let me
brutal.
What are they at now? They're at 7-5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7-5. They've got the Jaguars next week, which is a pretty easy layup victory for them. Get to 8-5. Then they have the Dolphins, and even if you want to give them the Dolphins win as a 9th win, but the Dolphins are looking good right now. After the Dolphins, they go Chiefs.
Tua Tagovailoa is on the bench today, and it wasn't because he was hurt or because he was playing badly. It's because they murdered their opponent.
Okay, hang on. I have the biggest shade of all time, and I don't even know if I can put it on here because I got somebody.
Is there a bad word?
Yeah, but I got somebody to cook.
Oh, I see. I see what you've starred. Yeah, maybe you just read that one out, self-censor a little bit.
But Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, Titans is the rest of the schedule. And if you're playing out this fantasy scenario Jeff Simmons did, where the Titans win out and go 9-8, you give the Titans a win over the Texans in week 18, Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins as those other games. There's a couple losses on there for the Texans, I think. Somebody is saying in the chat that I was very explicitly saying that I was very much singing the Texans' praises on Friday. Cody S., you know who you are. He says, now they aren't looking special. I don't think you've tuned into enough of my content because I've been calling these Houston Texans fraudulent all year. Did I think the Texans were going to win this game? Yes. Why? Because the Titans suck and are 3-8. But the Texans are not a good football team. They have they had for a wide or large portion of the season, they still might, I can actually go check it, a negative point differential for a team that was in first place and running away with their division. They have a plus 17 point differential before today. So the Texans, not as good as you might think they are. They barely
deeply flawed teams.
They've gotten very lucky. They're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. If they make it to the playoffs, you can guarantee that and quote me on that. So no, I am not the biggest Texans supporter there. And I did say that they had been looking better, that they had been finding their stride, as Austin wants to point out. I will go pull all the receipts you want. I wrote articles on A to Z Sports about it that I can probably find for you guys as well, about how the Texans were not as good as their record shows.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, talk, man. Talk your talk.
I'm
While
not,
you were doing,
I'm not gonna
that,
have people sit here and because I predicted that the 7-4 Texans would win against the 2-8 Titans, be like, "You're a Texans apologist. You love
right.
the Texans."
No, that's I think that's completely fair. While you were doing that and clearing your good name, I was looking up this super chat. One word is Pyrrhic, which is a word I'd heard before, but it's one of those where you're like, in a sentence, I think I know what it means, but I have no idea how to describe it
I've
to
probably
you.
heard it spoken. I've definitely never read it spelled. That is a word that
It is a
not
yeah. If you get that one in the spelling bee, you are cooked. Just go sit down. Pyrrhic is usually used in the term of a Pyrrhic victory, which is the context that's being used here. It's of victory. So a Pyrrhic victory is something won at too great a cost to have been worthwhile for the victor. An interesting use case for an interesting word. So clearly, Caps, respecting your opinion, Caps. It sounds like he wishes they hadn't won for the sake of the draft, and that winning is maybe a short-term pleasure that long-term is detrimental to the team. I can respect that, and I'm fond of this word. So well done. I appreciate this word. Thank you, and thank you for your super chat.
What I don't appreciate is Austin Stanley rewriting history because he comes in. I'm brilliant. I called it.
Nobody loves a victory lap like Austin Stanley. Let me tell you.
Nobody loves a victory lap that they didn't earn, like Austin Stanley, who comes in and says, he comes in and says, "I've got a feeling the Titans could maybe win this game." And then as soon as we talk about it, I go, "What is the percentage chance they win it?" He goes, 20. I don't actually feel that good about it. Nobody has walked back the idea of saying, "Hey, if the Titans win this game, give me all the credit in the world for calling this Titans upset. But if the Titans lose, just know that I only gave them a 20% chance and didn't actually mean that. So cross that off." You cannot take a victory lap, Austin, if you don't go out there.
Here's what matters. Austin, did you or did you not put your own US dollars on a Titans money line bet today? And if so, how many units was it? If you can prove that you put a 1 unit bet on the Titans money line today, then you can take your lap. But otherwise, don't want to hear it.
I mean, yeah,
I bet, full disclosure, I bet a half unit on the Titans money line today. So I get
that would be like me saying right now, like, I don't think it's crazy that the Bengals could win the Super Bowl. They probably won't, but
midweek every week, no matter the matchup, I'm going to just float the idea that I think there's a chance the Titans win this game.
It's like really good
if they win.
There's a good chance that the Bengals won't win the Super Bowl, but maybe. And now if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be like, "Hey, I told you guys." And
if you just get yourself with plausible deniability on the record for all possible outcomes, you're never wrong. You can just scattershot. You can always point to something you were right about. This is the lesson here.
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I think he's tweeted like 8 times about how right he was about this game, in which he projected a final score of the Texans winning. Actually,
Austin's credit that we did build the entire Friday show around his gut feeling.
True, but he also on the Friday show would not give me a score prediction because he said, if you asked me for a score prediction, I probably would say that the Texans are going to win.
He needed to say it with his chest. That's your problem. He wasn't saying it with his chest.
Exactly.
Okay.
We got it.
So Austin, next time, just say it with your chest then.
Dr. Nuance, right? Take it from Dr. Nuance, right?
I'm just here to be the mediator. I'm just trying
nuance when you see it. I don't. I'm going all out for my takes, and I'm going to be wrong so many times, but it's going to feel so much better when I'm right. All right. Let's go back to our pregame X-factors before we wrap up today. Our pregame X-factors from the Texans-Titans game and see how they impacted the game. Those X-factors, of course, brought to you by X Golf Nashville and now in Murfreesboro as well. X Golf Nashville. X Golf has reinvented the player experience by creating the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving you a chance to try the world's top courses and a variety of game formats. You can improve your swing because of the high tech. It gives you really every analysis you could want about your swing. You can get a drink at the bar. You can watch the game. You can get some good food. That's the X Golf experience for you. And X Golf now also has a holiday scramble starting today where you can win tailor-made clubs. You can also get gift cards bought online at playxgolf.com. 20% off starting on Black Friday. X Golf Nashville, the home of indoor golf. Easton, my X Golf X Factor was the Titans getting CJ Stroud on the ground. How do we feel like they did with this today? Because they ended the day with a decent number of sacks. They got 4 sacks on the day, but I believe almost all of them came in the second half, and 2 of them came right at
two
the
are the
very
last
end.
2 plays of the game,
Right.
right? So they
Not
did
great.
they did enough though. That's I think
there weren't too many plays that I thought, oh, Stroud escaped that pressure and created an explosive because of it.
True. I agree. And so that's why come to Dr. Nuance. I do think that it is fair to continue to, on the whole, criticize this pass rush for not being good enough. But in this game, I think they did just enough with the pair of sacks. It was Simmons and Landry there at the end of the game. The stars stepped up when you need the stars to do so to put the game on ice. And then earlier in the game, the previous 2 sacks, first-time sacks from 2 young players. Devondre Sweat told us in the locker room, was it Thursday, Friday, said, man, Houston, hometown, going to have a lot of friends and family there. Played in NRG Stadium a lot as a kid. Would have loved to get my first sack in the NFL in this stadium. He gets it done, which is vindicating for him because he got so close many times the past 2 weeks. And then Allie Gay. How about an Allie Gay first-time sack in the NFL getting in there? The young gun, UDFA. Former Texan. So big for him. And I believe that's his first.
And yes,
I'll double check.
And Jeffrey Simmons was fantastic today all around. Had a couple of very big run stops. He got after the quarterback and big moments, including that one.
He's had a really good month.
Line.
I mean, after a beginning of the year where I think rightfully were like, what's up with the star? He's been the star that he is billed as for the past month of football.
Big credit to Jeffrey Simmons. Answered the bell. It was huge. And then your X Factor, Easton.
Yes. Oh, you're pointing to me. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up my notes because I took notes on this X Factor. My X Factor was this Texans team has been menacing when they get you, the defense, Texans defense, gets you as an offense into 2nd and 8+ or 3rd and 7+. And specifically on 3rd and 7+, before today, they as a team had allowed just 10 first down conversions on 3rd and 7+. So every single time today that the Titans found themselves in 2nd and 8+ or 3rd and 7+, I think, I'll fact check this list later. I might have given up a little bit at the end and missed a couple. But for the most part, every time they got into those scenarios, I wrote down what the down and distance was and what the result was. And the reason why they were humming so well in the first half, Sam, you can really see the splits here. Because in the second half, offensively, they did a couple good things and they had some sustained drives, but like the majority of their production was the Chig touchdown, and it was huge. It was awesome. But that was, that was it. And then a turnover or 2 that led to a field goal, but they didn't really move the ball much, right? Like that was kind of the tail of their second half offensively. In the first half, the offense was humming because they got into 2nd and 8+ or 3rd and 7+ very few times. They were ahead of the sticks consistently. And when they did find themselves in one of those down and distances, 4 of the first 6 times they converted. So they defied the statistics for this Texans defense so far this year. They did better than teams previously against this Texans team. And 4 of those 6 times they were behind the sticks, they converted. Now you can see it here in my charting where the offense starts to trail off because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 of their final 6 times they found themselves in that down and distance, which is pretty much all the second half, they did not convert. So it was that first half where they did not get behind the sticks much at all. And when they did, they converted. That was the key today for the Titans. That was my X factor. And they did a good enough job to get the job done.
And Pastor Raymond shouts out Nick Folk as well. I'd be remiss if we finished the show without giving credit to the ageless wonder, Nick Folk, who had 3 kicks of 50+ yards. Titans needed every last one of them today. So you got all 3 field goals, 50 yards, which changed the game. There was a couple possessions where a sack or a negative play, whatever, could have blown up in your face and ended up with no points. Nick Folk bailed them out a little bit. So shout out to Nick Folk.
Job hard today, and he answered the bell.
Yeah. All right. Well, leave a like on the show here. If you are happy with this Titans 32-27 win, make sure you leave a like. Helps out Easton and I, helps out all of us here at A to Z. We're about to go and give you some written content as well on A2Zsports.com about this game. So make sure you guys check that out. That's all we got for you on this post-game show. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and your Victory Monday that follows. What a good week, Thanksgiving week, to be thankful for a Titans win and really bask in the glory of this one. We'll be back tomorrow morning, A to Z Sports Morning Show. Austin Stanley with Zach Bingham to recap this Titans win. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.